All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Law Enforcement Center here in Charlotte, North Carolina. My name is Kevin Petrus. I'm a lieutenant with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department in the Public Affairs Division. Every quarter of the year, CMPD provides a public safety briefing, and that is what brings us together here this morning. This briefing is important to us in order to be transparent about the state of public safety in our city and to share what we're doing to manage crime and collaborate with our community. Today, we're going to share a full overview of crime stats through the third quarter of 2023. So that's January 1, 2023, all the way through September 30, 2023. Throughout this public safety briefing, you're going to hear percentages increase or decrease, and that refers to the same time frame last year through 2022 through the third quarter then. Through the third quarter in 2023, overall crime in Charlotte is up 11%. The driving factor in that overall increase is an increase in property crime of 14%. While the property crime increase is a concern for us, the good news is that Charlotte has continued to see a decrease in violent crime. Specifically, violent crime has decreased 5% so far in 2023. The violent crime category includes homicides, rapes, robberies, aggravated assaults, including shootings. Again, violent crime is down 5% so far this year. We're incredibly proud of the efforts of all of our employees this year, and their hard work is reflected in the statistics and the information that we're going to share today. We have two speakers with us who are going to help us take an in-depth look at these statistics and help provide some more context. Joining us first will be CMPD Deputy Chief Jacqueline Holsey, followed by Major Tori Tellis. First up, Deputy Chief Holsey.
Thank you, Lieutenant Petrus. Good morning, everyone. Again, welcome. My name is Jacqueline Holsey, the Deputy Chief of the Administrative Services Bureau, and I will jump right in and deliver the violent crime statistics for you. Every year, CMPD faces an immense challenge of meeting the needs of a rapidly growing city, and this year we have met that challenge. In 2023, our 911 calls are up 8%. This is an increase of nearly 60,000 calls for service year to date. Despite facing a nationwide officer shortage, our officers have increased patrol responses overall by 2%. What this means is that we are dispatching officers on 2% more calls for service compared to this time last year. In addition, our proactive zone checks are up 4%. A zone check is simply when an officer is strategically placed in a specific area to provide higher officer presence and deter criminal activity. Again, more is being done with less. Our total arrests are up 13%, and that increase is led predominantly by a rise in our juvenile arrest rates, and I will go into that a little more as we progress. As Lieutenant Petrus mentioned, we are pleased to report that our violent crime incidents have fallen 5%. We have made significant strides in our homicide reductions. Through the third quarter, we have had 69 homicides compared to 85 this time last year. This is a 19% reduction. Other significant drops include robberies, down 11%, aggravated assaults are down 2%, burglaries are down 6%, and our arsons are down 10%. Our Patrol Bureau continues to do an incredible job of directing officers to priority areas, delivering tangible results in addressing violent crime. Our officers are also doing a great job of being proactive. They are seizing firearms through their patrols and investigations. Year to date, CMPD has seized more than 2,600 firearms as evidence. This is a 10% increase from last year. I want to say that number again. More than 2,600 firearms seized as evidence. Our crime gun suppression team, which investigates serious crimes and retaliatory gun crime, does an amazing job of making arrests of repeat violent offenders that has no doubt been reflected in this reduction. One case I'd like to spotlight specifically. In late August, this team arrested a suspect wanted in a home invasion, and that investigation yielded the seizure of 9 firearms. One of those firearms had also been reported as stolen. Additionally, officers recovered a stolen Audi in that case as well. In this case, several suspects had broken into a home and they had robbed a woman at gunpoint. This was an incredible investigation that spanned over 2 months, during which time detectives were carefully analyzing evidence and conducting surveillance, which led them to the identification of the main suspect and obtaining warrants. The suspect in this case, Irvin Velasquez, he is charged with first-degree burglary, robbery with a dangerous weapon, and conspiracy to commit robbery with a dangerous weapon. This is just one example of the countless investigations by our officers and detectives that have led to repeat violent offenders being removed from the streets. We have no doubt that this arrest and these gun seizures deterred further crime. We will continue to focus our efforts on individuals who show that they are unwilling to change their behavior and continue to prey on Charlotte residents. Reducing violent crime is Chief Jennings' top priority, and again, we are very proud of our results. But we are not done. As Chief Jennings has said himself, there is no amount of acceptable crime. We will continue our efforts and invest in our resources and people to make sure that these downward trends continue. While overall violent crime is down, one area of concern that we have is that our overall shootings are slightly up by 2%. A contributor to this violent crime that we are seeing is being committed by juveniles. There have been 79 shootings involving a juvenile suspect through Q3. This is a 32% increase from last year. This has also coincided with a rise in juvenile victims being targeted in our shooting cases, and that is up 10%. We are seeing more juvenile suspects who are armed and firing into occupied property, whether that's a home or a car, and not knowing where these bullets are ending up and not understanding the consequences of their actions. A recent case that I'd like to spotlight on this comes out of the North Tryon Division. Division detectives, again, along with the crime gun suppression team, they collaborated on a shooting case that happened on St. John's Church Road. They recovered 25 shell casings from that scene. In this case, a victim was in his vehicle and it was fired upon by a suspect in another vehicle. The victim was struck by shrapnel in this case and fortunately sustained non-life-threatening injuries. Detectives working the case identified a 17-year-old suspect as the primary suspect and the shooter in this incident. In addition, they identified another 17-year-old suspect in the case who cut off his ankle monitor following the incident. On top of making the arrest, detectives searched the main suspect's home, and they found 2 AR-15 assault-style rifles and a stolen Glock with an extended magazine. CMPD will continue to track shooting cases like this one and use our resources to make these arrests. But the rate that we are seeing juveniles pull a trigger is alarming and points to a greater community problem. Our kids need to go back to being kids. They need to be engaged in sports. They need to be participating in youth activities and programs. CMPD's Community Engagement Unit has numerous programs geared towards our youth, steering them on the right path, deterring them from the wrong path, and assisting them in becoming good citizens. We urge parents, caregivers, guardians, utilize these resources, deter the problematic behaviors before they get out of control. Before bringing up Major Tellis, I want to touch on one more thing that we are very proud to announce. We have a major development at CMPD that is going to assist us in having more presence in the community. Next week, we are beginning the 196th recruit class. This will be a historic class for us. We are seating the largest number of recruits in this class in our department's history. 82 recruits will be seated in this class. In addition, compared to this time last year, our overall hiring efforts have increased 22%. Recruitment is a top priority for Chief Jennings and CMPD, and we have made considerable strides in hiring despite the nationwide shortages, and we are incredibly proud of this. And with that, I will now turn it over to, Major Tellis.
All right. Good morning. I'm Major Tory Tellis, Northeast Service Area of Patrol. We'll jump right in regards to property crime. Property crime has risen substantially this year. It's up 14% and is driving our overall crime increased at 11%. The largest statistical increase in any category has not changed this quarter. It remains auto thefts. We're still feeling the effects of the Kia Hyundai challenge that was introduced in the summer of 2022. Now, vehicle thefts are up 125% this year, but that's actually down from the mid-year when vehicle thefts were up 143%. The Kia and Hyundai challenge theft in particular are up 842%. 842%, I say. That number is significantly down from the mid-year when they were up at 2,000%. We are seeing significant reductions in crime and vehicle thefts from extremely high rate earlier this year. Our men and women in patrol and investigations are cracking down on auto thefts incidents with more than 830 arrests in that particular type of crime. We still need our vehicle owners to take proactive measures. That includes adding steering wheel locks. You know, they were introduced back in the 80s and early 90s. This is something that was a positive reinforcement, and we needed to bring that back. So at this point, if you don't have access to one, please visit your division offices to seek a steering wheel lock. What also continues to be alarming is how juveniles are committing auto theft crimes. There have been nearly 600 juvenile arrests for auto thefts this year. That's up 191%. In the third quarter alone, we've seen 4 of Charlotte's top juvenile offenders commit 30 stolen car incidents combined. Again, that's just in the course of a few months. 28 of the 30 vehicles were, as we mentioned, Kia Hyundais. We again call parents, guardians, and caretakers to take an active role. Know what your child is doing at all times. Monitor their activities on social media and online. On top of an increase in auto thefts, we're seeing an increase in larcenies from auto, which is up 6%. Besides the damage to your vehicle or stolen property, these incidents are dangerous because they lead to firearms being stolen from vehicles, putting guns in the hand of people who shouldn't have them. Stolen gun incidents are up 18% this year. These firearms are then used to commit violent crime. Way too often are we seeing suspects pulling on car door handles and smashing windows outside of venues and other highly frequented parking lots and finding unsecured firearms. Our patrol officers and crime reduction units do a fantastic job of recovering firearms, but we all must be responsible gun owners. That includes securing your vehicle. Don't leave a firearm or any other valuables in your car. Don't allow your firearm to be used in the next violent crime. If you're going to an event or a location where a firearm is not permitted, plan ahead and leave your firearm. Make sure your firearm is either secured or leave it at home. We have detectives in every division who investigate these property crime incidents, and they'll continue to work hard to solve them. But please do your part. A few weeks ago, we introduced Operation Scarlet to you, which is an initiative that was led by CMPD. Scarlet stands for Stolen Car and Recovery Law Enforcement Team. I'm happy to announce that we are approaching some milestone numbers with over 150 vehicles recovered, luxury vehicles recovered, hundreds of thousands of illegal drugs seized, $330,000 in cash seized, 91 guns seized, and 85 search warrants executed. This operation is still very active and ongoing, and we look forward to the good work to come. And at this time, I pass it on to Lieutenant Petrus again.
Thank you, Major. For those of you taking notes, let me give you the spellings for our Deputy Chief and our Major. Deputy Chief is Jacqueline Hulsey. It's Jacqueulyn, last name Hulsey, Hulsey. And the Major is Tori Tellis. Tori is Torri, last name Tellis, Tellis. I apologize for not doing that sooner. Before we get to the questions, to answering your questions today, I want to take just a moment to preview a new CMPD public safety campaign for the fourth quarter of 2023. As you've heard us say before, the fentanyl epidemic is a public health crisis. This crisis has hit our city hard, just as it has in cities across the country, with spikes in overdose deaths and overdose calls for service. Overdose deaths here in Charlotte are up 19% this year. That is 162 lives that we've lost. Overdose calls for service for CMPD are up 4% compared to this time last year. The goal of this campaign will be public awareness and education centered around two areas. First, simply put, you cannot trust a pill or any other drug that you do not get directly from a reputable pharmacy, period. If you consume a drug that you get from any other means, you are playing with your life. You might think that you're taking an oxycodone pill. Think again. You might think that you're taking an Adderall pill. Think again. Unless you get it directly from a pharmacy, don't take the risk. It's not just that it could kill you, it very well might kill you. Second, there are avenues to safely and securely dispose of drugs here locally. This is a no questions asked system. We have a disposal box here at the Law Enforcement Center in Uptown Charlotte. We invite you, we even encourage you to safely discard drugs at this location. Proper disposal is important because of how toxic fentanyl is. This is not something that you can just throw in the trash, dispose in the garbage, because anyone who comes in contact with it could be at risk of exposure. And we know how serious that exposure can be. So this campaign will be launching here in the fourth quarter of 2023 here at CMPD. We're excited about it, and we're hopeful for real impact in this area. So we now have Deputy Chief Hulsey and Major Tellis available to answer some questions. So you can fire away.
Question for Deputy Chief Hulsey. It seems as if it's the violent crime, which thankfully is down, but when we're talking about property crime, shootings being up even, I'm hearing over and over again, juveniles are to blame. Would you say, is it safe to say that juveniles are the main problem in Charlotte's crime these days?
I wouldn't want to say that they're the main problem, but we've just recently seen where the increase in their numbers has affected our overall numbers. But again, the shootings don't factor into the property crimes. Those specifically are the violent crimes, and those numbers overall are still down. But comparably speaking, when you look at the violent crime statistics committed by juveniles compared to the previous years, that number is alarming to us. And that tells us that our juveniles are on the wrong track.
What's going to fix it? I feel like you guys are a broken record every time we come in for one of these, that juveniles is to blame for a lot of our stuff here.
It takes more than the police. That plain and simple, it boils down to the community, everyone in the community being engaged and involved and taking ownership in our youth.
You mentioned some programs. What are those programs and what specifically do they do with our youth?
We have numerous programs, too many to list. They're all available on our webpage, but we've got Reach and Reach Out and PAL, our athletics leagues. But all of our programs are designed to provide mentorship, problem solving, teach children skills so that they can navigate life. Life is becoming more complex in a juvenile's world, and they need skills. They need to be taught how to navigate a complex society.
When you're investigating, or your colleagues are investigating juveniles that are doing these types of things, what is the common pattern that y'all find that leads them down this path?
Lack of structure, I would say. Like, to go back to the same thing that we try to put into the children, put into our youth through these programs, is skills and structure. They don't, in my opinion, need necessarily harsh discipline. They need life skills, and they need support, and they need love from the community to lift them up.
You said, although homicides are down, you said shootings are actually up. Is that correct?
Shootings, which would be, assault with a deadly weapon by gun, those overall are up 2%.
Some of those that we've seen have happened on our highways and interstates, that you're very aware. Very frequently, at least, we are getting calls from our newsroom from not only victims, but hearing it over scanners as well.
Mm-hmm.
How do y'all investigate these highway and road shootings? What are the tools that y'all have at your disposal to try to catch the suspects?
Well, the investigation is very similar to any other investigation, but some of the things that would be added measures within the highway system is, of course, our cameras that we operate, being able to maybe track down an actual specific vehicle. Anything on the roadways, we hope that we have camera footage or license plate reader footage available. And if you can locate a vehicle, oftentimes that can lead you to a suspect.
I'll ask, because you probably don't know this, but if we could get those stats on roadway shootings.
We can, absolutely, we can. And I don't believe that those are a significantly high driver of the overall number of shootings, but certainly a concern, like you say.
And how
Yes,
are they getting these guns? Is it just them stealing guns out of cars, or what's?
So stealing guns out of cars is a huge topic for us, and that's where I can tell you that of our overall guns stolen this year to date, the 1,452 number, 903 of those were stolen out of an automobile. Locked or unlocked does not matter. Visible, not visible, does not matter. Do not leave guns in your vehicle.
Has there been a mass incident where maybe at a football game or a parking lot somewhere where they've gotten a significant amount of guns from parked cars in a lot or at an event?
Not that I'm aware of with respect to a specific event. It's very random and sporadic, and criminals are just opportunistic in the sense that they're breaking into a vehicle in hopes of finding anything of value, and oftentimes, unfortunately, it is a gun.
Let me ask this. I don't know the rules regarding this, but if I'm a lawful gun owner, is it legal, or are you not supposed to, is it illegal to leave it in your locked personal car in a parking lot?
Unfortunately, there's no specific law that we can charge someone for leaving it, but if your weapon falls into the hands of a minor, that can lead to a criminal charge. That can lead to a misdemeanor charge.
On you as the...
It can, yes, but there are very specific, we can get you the actual language for that, but it is very specific.
I just
Yes.
asked because I'm wondering
Yes.
if there are
Yes.
toolbox that may be needed in y'all's arsenal to try to combat this. 'Cause
I would
it
say
seems like an
yes.
issue.
Yeah, I would say yes.
I have a question in regards to Kias.
Okay.
Oh, wait, before you go.
Yes, ma'am.
You talked about 69 homicides this year. What is CMPD's close rate for those homicides?
Lieutenant, do you have the closure rate, or are we going to provide that?
I don't
with some
have closure,
details?
we don't have closure rate right here at the moment, but we can
Yeah, we'll provide that to you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Major, a lot of it is juveniles, as we've known quarter after quarter.
Correct.
That is leading to all of these stolen cars, especially the Kia and Hyundai challenge. And I think it's nice to see that those percentages are down from last quarter specifically. What's working?
Well, there's several things that's actually working in relation to that. Number one is patrol officers are actually out in areas, specifically apartment complexes, locations where people actually, the citizens actually live, where we see main targeted locations, like I said, apartments where in the late evenings, You have the kids walking through, checking locks to see if the car is open. They're specifically looking for Kias and Hyundais. So we've actually, in patrol, we've actually gone out to locations, specifically the apartment complexes, and try to identify all owners of those vehicles and provide them with locks, with the car locks. And then those who we don't get to, we put out information saying that it's available to them, because that's another deterrent. So that's one thing that's working. The fact that, you know, with people being, with the juveniles being caught and it's spreading throughout to other juveniles, it's not more of a challenge now. It's starting to turn into, I don't want to get in trouble. And fortunately, that's a beneficial factor for us.
They're still up 842%. What more is it going to take to drop that number?
Again, it goes back to parenting, being involved in your child's life, making sure they're not engaging in criminal activity. You know, there's no reason for a child to be out at 4 a.m. in the morning walking around in somebody's neighborhood checking doorknobs or car door locks. One of the programs that we've initiated within patrol is called the Fifth Element, and that's actually addressing some of our proficient offenders, continued folks that we mentioned in this briefing, to try to deter them from going down that route of negativity and changing their trajectory. So these are all initiatives that we're trying everything that we possibly can, you know, sitting down with anybody that's willing to listen. And we also have a lot of community members that are willing to provide their feed into how can we help these kids.
What are they doing with these vehicles? It seems like sometimes they're being used for other crimes.
That is true, and sometimes they're being used for crimes. We've seen them where they've been used to get to point A to point B because it's so simplistic for them to do it. And, you know, instead of getting on public transportation, steal a car.
The juvenile 1 through 4 that you put up on here, kind of the repeat offenders.
Yes,
Are you only arresting them once, or
multiple times.
so one after the other? So in other words, the repeat offenders getting charged with this over and over again. What's not working?
Correct. So again, I mean, it's the juvenile system, so we can't say it's not working. What we do know is that on our side of it, when we locate them and we go take them across to the judge or the magistrate and everything, it's their opportunity to step in and, okay, we've seen this name come across our table multiple times, so what are we going to do with it? So that communication between us and them and the city is imperative. So that's just one of the collaborative effort that has all pieces have to be in play.
Are these 4 juveniles, like, were they like together, like, or they all were just repeat offenders all
No,
stealing cars?
these are all individuals.
What is the youngest individual?
The youngest that we've actually seen, I would probably say range around 11, 12 years old.
So I mean, I'm
Thus
talking
far.
to people who live in these apartment complexes that are being targeted. I mean, besides, you know, the basic tips of the steering wheel lock and, you know, parking in well-lit areas, what can they do? What can these folks do?
Well, I know we've actually had several vehicle owners, specifically Kia Hyundais, reach back out to the dealerships who have reached back out to the makers, and they've tried some initiatives to try and do updates so that this challenge won't affect those cars. So that's another avenue that's actually played into it. So it's continuous. I mean, this is an evolving situation. Like, no one expected a TikTok challenge or social media challenge to turn into what it actually turned into. And we have to evolve as a community with the kids. I mean, this is a different world that we live in, so we have to continue to try new avenues.
I know you guys are doing, you know, the best that you guys can with that, but what message do you have to the people who are out hundreds of dollars from either damage or, I mean, the stolen vehicle in general?
Well, know that we're here trying our best and doing our best to make sure that our community is safe. Understand that these kids out here need that structure, and we understand that they're out of what they're out of. But again, make yourself target proof. You know.
I have a couple of, this might be best fit for you, because it's not regarding the stats.
Okay.
But it was something that y'all told, I believe, at the mid-year. Is there any update to the, you're gonna have to refresh my memory on what y'all are calling it, but it's the civilian sworn units that are out doing like the fender benders.
Civilian crash
Yes.
investigators. Yeah, absolutely. So legislation passed earlier this year to allow municipalities in North Carolina to use civilians to investigate minor crashes, property damage only. That's something that we are actively working on. We're working through proposals to hopefully get those folks out on the street early next year.
Any uniforms are chosen yet, or applications out there?
All of that's in the works and still part of the proposal.
What
Okay.
about sexual assaults? Do we have a number on that? Increase, decrease? I think we're trying to get those.
So yeah, rapes I believe was part of is part of the violent crime category. Rapes are down this year. I don't have the number right in front of me. It'll be in the press release that we send out. So that's for the rape category specifically. And I don't have that number specifically for sex assaults. Casey, we work quick around here. Okay, the homicide clearance rate so far year to date 69%, so nearly 70%. And you know, we're really proud of our homicide folks. We their clearance rates statistically are among the best in the country and even outpace that. And so we're proud of them. 69% so far this year.
Put a bow on all of it. What
Sure.
do you want to take the community to take away from this? The stats on violent crime and property crime.
Yeah, so CMPD is in the public safety business, okay? That's what we do. But CMPD cannot fix all of any societal issues on our own, okay? This is a whole of society fix for public safety. Now, that doesn't mean we sit here and wave the white flag and give up and say our responsibility is done. No, we're pressing the gas. We're moving forward. We're doing everything we can to come up with mentorship programs for young people, to teach them problem-solving skills, to teach them, hey, if I run into a conflict, if I run into somebody, how can I go about solving that problem? So we're not waving the white flag, but we need help. This is a whole of community fix for these issues, and that's something that the biggest driver is kind of communicating that message that it's going to take everybody. It's going to take all of us to solve some of these problems. So with that, we're gonna wrap up this Q3 briefing. We do have a press release out to you with all of these numbers broken down. The raw numbers are in there too, along with some of the examples. Okay. Thanks for joining us offline. Let's do it offline. Okay. Yeah. Let me just pass this.
Battalion chief earlier this year marked an important shift in the city. He's now the highest-ranking Latino immigrant in the Charlotte Fire Department.
How does it feel to say that, battalion chief?
It's still surreal. You know, it's been only since January.
But it's been a long time coming. He joined CFD more than 20 years ago as a new immigrant from Guatemala. At the time, he was only the 4th Latino in the history of the department. Charlotte has grown a lot since then.
The Latino community, the Latino population is huge in Charlotte.
New numbers obtained by WCNC Charlotte show the department hasn't kept pace. Latino or Hispanic firefighters represent only 4% of its workforce, but that group makes up about 15% of Charlotte's population. Firefighters say that discrepancy is a matter of public safety. When seconds count, firefighters can face cultural and language barriers.
I grew up in Latin America. I know the culture, I know the language, and that matters.
This CFD recruitment video is aimed directly at the local Latino community, a group that has sometimes shied away from careers as first responders.
A lot of people sadly don't know that we can do the job, that the job is available for Latinos, that the job is available for immigrants, that the job is available for minorities.
A job Juan Pablo says is the best job in the world, and one that makes Charlotte, all of Charlotte, a little bit safer.
Connect the dots when we make the news make sense. Some experts are worried teen pregnancies could spike here in the Tar Heel state as access to sex education for hundreds of thousands of students wanes.
More districts are letting parents opt in when it comes to their students taking sex ed, but folks aren't signing up. Let's connect the dots. In North Carolina, all students are supposed to be taught sex ed, but parents can choose to opt out. CMS is changing course after the recently passed Parents' Bill of Rights, aimed at giving parents more of a say in their child's education. Now parents in the district have to opt in to the course. So far in CMS, just 33% of students between 5th and 9th grade have chosen to participate. This has led to a growing concern among some experts who worry about the impact on students. More than 40% of students in North Carolina high schools report having sex, and about 40% of those admit to not practicing safe sex. Experts warn that limiting access to sex ed could see these numbers skyrocket. And that is connecting the dots.
With your help, WCNC Charlotte is making a difference in our community.
Beautiful day, so many people helping. This is incredible.
Let's spread that love tonight.
Here is a $5,000 check that you guys can use to further the mission.
There is nothing on earth like the feeling of giving back with your hands.
$5,000 to you and Block Love Charlotte for what you guys do.
If you'd like to make a difference, go to WCNC.com/make-a-difference now.
Well, seems like a lot of folks are getting into the spooky season. Halloween spending this year is set to hit a record $12.2 billion nationwide. But no matter how much you're willing to spend on your costume, Larry has got you covered.
Yeah, if you're on a budget, there are plenty of affordable options to wow the crowd. So let's see what Larry found.
Believe it or not, I'm here at Goodwill. And, you know, nowadays you can spend some big bucks on Halloween costumes. So I'm here with, well, some very quiet customers. But if you're looking for really great Halloween bargains and just about anything, you can find it at your nearby Goodwill store. Lazitra Wilson is the PR and communications manager, and it's gotten bigger and better every year, right?
Yeah, bigger and better every year. So here we're at our Valentine East store. You can see all of these great, amazing finds that we have, Larry. Everything from home decor, got some clothing for you, kids, adults, and you can even piece together your own costumes. $30 or less. The National Retail Federation averages that it's about $36 people want to spend this year. We're looking at about $30 or less here at Goodwill. You can get a really unique costume that does good for your community.
Goodwill does some amazing things in the community. Kind of explain to us what Goodwill does for this and every community.
So here at Goodwill, we're more than just a thrift store. So when you shop or donate to Goodwill, you're helping people in this community on their pathway to prosperity. So really you're helping fund career and job training resources free of charge to people in our community who need it.
Janelle is here at Goodwill, and I noticed that you're having a fun time just shopping, right?
I am, for sure. I do a little Halloween haunt at home, so I come here and I find all these little projects that I can take home and make the house even more spooky.
I mean, when you come here, do you find that the prices are also very good?
Oh yeah, definitely a lot cheaper than you would find retail.
It can be spooky, fun, or wacky for the whole family, and it's a quick transformation at Goodwill.
Take it from the world's oldest weatherman. Meet me here at Boo Boulevard for all of your Halloween stuff. I'll hand it back to you guys.
Is he going to be on the Bozo bus this year?
I have no idea.
You never know.
I don't know who he is. He says the oldest weather guy. Maybe.
Yeah. Oh.
We're counting down. We're just
I can't
days
wait.
away.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see who visits this year.
Goodwill's one spot. Tomorrow we're going to check if you have a little bit of a budget. Another place you can go for some really wild and crazy.
Okay.
things. Yeah.
Okay.
Tomorrow, another wild and crazy that weather. Just a quiet morning.
6:38 this morning, and we are asking, where's the money? And this morning we want to know, Would you be willing to carry a little extra cash on you if it meant that you were going to get a discount on some things? All this coming from a new report from the Wall Street Journal about companies, businesses taking off a percentage of your bill if you pay in cash. Why is there a discount? Why is this happening? It's a fair question. Well, it's because cash actually lowers the payment processing fees on their end of it, which is often 3-4%, something like this. So you end up saving them money. Where can you do this? Where can you use cash? Often it will explicitly say it, but it's going to be at restaurants, coffee shops, small businesses. Think mom and pop stores that don't want to pay for that extra 3 or 4% that credit card fees come with. So we want to know this morning. Text us 704-329-3600 or use the hashtag WakeUpCLT. Is 3% enough? Would you be willing to start carrying around more cash if you were going to get a 3% discount? Let us know what you think and see if you're part of this new trend that some people are taking part in.
Absolutely, especially to save our small businesses some money. I mean, those fees are...
Totally understand it.
It's a lot of folks taking a bite because it's not just the processors either. It's the banks, and then I think there's one other entity. So that money is going a few different ways, and it's not our mom and pops.
Yeah, it's true.
Plus, I feel like paying with cash is more painful because you can actually see it dwindle away.
You watch it depart.
That's right. And the card, you're like, sure, no problem until you...
That's right.
Get your bill at the end of the month.
That's right. That's
Oh
right.
my goodness.
Verify, WCNC Charlotte.
Verify is all about trying to make a difference in the community by making sure that the community has the correct information. This is what we know, and hey, this is what we don't know. Sometimes you're actually surprised by the answer.
Verify the difference.
Verify is a great way to combat that misinformation, making sure that people know the process of the reporting.
Turning to this now new at 6, the struggles in life after lockup. Tonight we are taking a look at the many challenges formerly incarcerated people face as they re-enter society.
Many people who are arrested or have a criminal record can have a hard time getting a house, a job, and reconnecting with their own family. WCNC Charlotte's Lexi Wilson shows us how one organization is seeking solutions to try and beat the odds.
After more than 30 years behind bars, James Cooper Jr. says it was surreal when he left prison.
I have to learn this whole place all over again.
The now 83-year-old was locked up for murder.
I'm just going to try to live my life out.
Cooper and 10 other men live here at Another Chance House of Refuge, a transition home for those getting out of prison. After being released, many struggle to find housing, which in turn can prevent them from securing a steady job and ultimately staying out of jail.
Once you go into prison and they let you out and you don't have any place to live, you go into survival mode. And survival mode looks like committing crimes to sustain the basic necessities of life.
It's an incident that recently happened. According to the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office, over the weekend an inmate was released and said they had nowhere to go. Deputies tried calling phone numbers they provided, but no one picked up. They left, but eventually returned and threw an unknown object that shattered the glass at the magistrate's front lobby door. The person was then rearrested for damage to real property.
That's sad, unfortunately.
Alexander Cedino says it's a relatable situation and it could have been him. After spending 4 months in jail, he's trying to rebuild his life at Another Chance House of Refuge.
It's either here or the streets. It grounds you and it gives you space and time for you to prepare yourself to get to where you need to be.
This home doing just that, providing another chance at life.
I feel good every day. I thank the Lord that I'm still kicking though, you know.
Through Another Chance House of Refuge, residents are able to stay there for 18 months max, and they do pay to live in that home, but at a lower cost, and they are provided everything like toiletries and food. Some of the men in that house have savings or are being introduced into the workforce. Reporting for WCNC Charlotte, I'm Lexi Wilson.
Right now, though, let's talk about a big issue. In Mecklenburg County, on any given night, as many as 3,000 people don't have a place to sleep. And this is a crisis prompting local nonprofit, the Lotus Campaign, to seek solutions.
That's right. WCNC Charlotte's Lexi Wilson joining us live now. And Lex, how exactly does this nonprofit help?
Well, the Lotus Campaign puts people who are homeless into housing by removing barriers. It's something that at times seems impossible, especially if someone has a record. Homelessness has many faces and many stories. This is Mario Johnson.
At times I felt like, just giving up. What's the use? Because my situation wasn't improving.
Johnson has been to prison for several charges, including robbery. His drug addiction started at 13, and before last year, he was homeless.
I never truly had a place to myself.
A place to himself, now possible.
It was just like a gift that was dropped in front of me.
Johnson is part of the Lotus Campaign's landlord participation program. Lotus guarantees landlords rent. In return, they eliminate things like credit checks and employment records.
Most of the residents that are coming through Lotus Campaign on paper are not going to look as great. They might have spotty rental history, maybe poor credit. There could be an eviction.
At the same time, they partner with social service groups to provide ongoing support for people like Johnson, who still works with Hope Haven, an organization helping people battle addiction.
What we're all about is building a strong network of support and also getting rid of roadblocks to housing.
Over the last 5 years, the Landlord Participation Program has housed more than 410 people in Charlotte. They've also supported over 200 lease renewals. The program has a 97% success rate, which means 97% of tenants go on to house themselves without support.
He'll protect me.
Johnson just re-signed his lease for another year in East Charlotte. Inside his home, a sign reads, "Don't quit."
The Lord is my strength and my shield.
He says he's grateful to be rebuilding his life with his family.
Everybody deserves a second chance.
And the Lotus Campaign also tries to put their tenants in neighborhoods where they can gain upward mobility. Reporting live for WCNC Charlotte, I'm Lexi Wilson.
We're talking about a beautiful start to the day. We are going to look at more clouds to start compared to the last few mornings. So that's a nice little treat because that's actually going to keep us from dropping down to lower to the mid 40s that was forecasted. So some sneaky clouds. They'll get out of here, allowing for that blue sky to return right after that sun is rising up. High temperatures yesterday, 71, 69 in Lincoln, 69 in Statesville. The difference today by about 1 degree. So we're 72 in Charlotte, 69 in Hickory, 60 degrees in Boone. So all in all, it's going to be delightful. But presto changeo, here are the changes that you can expect Thursday into Friday. Now, cloud cover number 1, that happens today. Clouds will increase through the afternoon, so I think lunchtime is sunny. It will be mostly cloudy by dinner time, and then rain chances likely by tomorrow, coming in 2 waves. More on that coming up. And then temperatures 70s today, 60s tomorrow with the lack of sunshine. Here's what I'm talking about. So through today, I think it's going to be sunny for the first part, but then those clouds start to take over by the mid to late afternoon. There's still going to be some breaks. At times you can have some avenues of clearing, allowing for blue sky. At other times it'll be more overcast with mostly cloudy skies. But then through the overnight, there's the slightest chance for a little bit of rain, maybe a sprinkle or two either side of midnight for Charlotte. But then we see a break, even a chance for it to be sunny as that sun is rising up. But then here comes the rain. For the mountains, you're going to have a cloudy start, a wet start. That's round 1. And the rainfall chances this week only lie on Friday for Charlotte, and it's a spotty rain chance up in the mountains on Saturday. This is also a chance for a thunderstorm, something that we haven't really said in the better part of a month. Here's the first round of rain. It arrives during the middle of the morning, so about 8 to 11, it rolls through our area. But then round 2 arrives with some heavier rain and that thunderstorm potential. I think the window really opens up anywhere from the early to late afternoon, depending where you are. Charlotte, really the mid to late afternoon hours, it starts to branch through. But it starts to turn into a clusters of thunderstorms. When this happens, they start to strengthen. So that's why there's a better chance for a more severe situation. Better ingredients down to the southeast, but I think it's really east of I-77 that might have the stronger storms heading into the peak heating of the day, and then we'll start to clear things out through the evening, setting us up for a delightful weekend. If you have any weekend plans, well, no problemo. Everything's looking fantastic. If you're going to that soccer game, well, it's going to be a delightful evening, plenty of sunshine each day. Once that cold front moves through, it'll be a little bit cooler in the upper 60s Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, but then what do you know? Back to the lower to the mid 70s Wednesday, heading into next weekend.
WCNC Charlotte.
Weather is a kind of science that you get to see and experience every day. And I think some people don't even realize how much it affects them. That weather has a huge impact on how it threatens your family, your livelihood, or your home. So I think it really is one of those defining things we do that really affects everybody in our community.
See the difference.
That process of giving you a warning ahead of time and keeping you and your family safe is really important to me because I live here too. It's my family, it's my friends, it's my neighbors.
Frog out of your throat. Thanks, KJ.
The Ola Charlotte Festival kicking off today in Uptown Charlotte. This year's event expected to bring in nearly 60,000 people. WCNC Charlotte's Miles Harris showing us the impact the festival is making for the Queen City.
This year marks the 11th year for Ola Charlotte, an event that continues to get bigger and better each and every year. But organizers, they stress that the festival is about more than the food, the music, or even the activities, but about educating Charlotte on its Latino culture as well as community.
Vibrancy and the food and the people, like Charlotte is such a beautiful city of beautiful people and beautiful cultures. So.
Jessica Bilgrad will admit, at first, she came to Ola Charlotte for the delicious tacos, but she's thankful to learn more about the Latino culture within the Queen City.
As someone who has always asked if I am Latina, it seems as though like there's a great representation here, like many countries, many cultures.
Data shows that Hispanic residents represent nearly 15% of Charlotte's population. Denise Collins is the event organizer. She shares that learning about the Latino culture was part of their mission from the beginning.
This is the opportunity for us to really realize that there is growth in the community, there is diversity, even within the Hispanic community. So it's not just one culture, so Ola Charlotte represents all the Hispanic cultures here.
Her hope, it continues to make an impact for years to come.
I'm hoping that it continues to grow. I'm excited that Hispanic businesses are represented here as well, that we can see the growth in the business community, in the nonprofit sector, in the families as well.
In Uptown, I'm Miles Harris for WCNC Charlotte.
Asking where's the money for college students? So we've been covering the burden of student loan debt, especially how it presents as mental health issues. A Credit Karma study back in August showed more than half of borrowers polled say they have to choose between paying debt or paying rent. And in another poll, online education researchers found 54% of those borrowers say issues like anxiety and depression are directly tied to their debt. It's why we're taking a closer look at ways to address debt and what repayment plans could work for you. So picking up another job and refinancing loans are definitely some top options for some. You may also, though, want to take a look at repayment plans as well. So CNBC breaks it down like this. The new SAVE plan from the Biden administration is certainly not a one-size-fits-all. Explaining it further, the plan caps your payments at what's called discretionary income. It's just a number that compares how much you make to the federal poverty line. Now, for those making less than about $33,000 a year, well, you'll pay nothing. But for those making above that, it could pay to look at some other income-driven plans as well. So it's why CNBC is actually plugging the Student Loan Simulator. It's where borrowers can compare plans. Another factor we've been discussing right here on WCNC Charlotte is taxes. It's important to mention you might owe income tax on any amount of debt that you have forgiven. That's because several states treat forgiven debt as taxable income. Now, right now, there is a waiver on federal income taxes on forgiven debt, which is a good thing, but that will expire in 2025. Ben?
Well, sometimes holiday shopping can send people into debt, but it does not have to.
No, it doesn't. WCNC Charlotte's Jane Monreal is here with some ways to avoid spending beyond our means. So we're not asking where's the money.
Yeah, very tempting, right? But I did speak to a manager at Experian, the credit score reporting agency, and she says the key to prevent yourself from falling into a financial burden from holiday spending is to think ahead.
That could look like creating a budget that includes lists of what you're planning on spending on this season.
Christina Roman from Experian says a budget should include more than just the gifts you're planning on buying.
If you're planning to travel, if you are planning to host events, if you like to do winter activities with the family, you should also include gift wrap in that list, because gift wrap can actually be quite costly.
With about a month and a half till people really start to ramp up holiday shopping, she says now is the time to make those lists, stick with your budget, and avoid maxing out your credit cards.
Your credit utilization is the second biggest factor impacting your credit score. You really want to keep those balances on your credit cards as low as you possibly can. If you can pay them off every month, even better, because on top of the damage that it'll do to your credit score, it's going to create financial stress for you.
Remember, your credit score can range from 350 to 850. Roman says anywhere in the upper 700s to 850, you'll qualify for the best interest rates. However, anything lower, you may have a harder time getting low interest rates or even qualifying for a credit card or loan.
Especially in today's economy with inflation at play too, Jane.
You're right.
Appreciate that.
And don't forget, WCNC Charlotte is committed to sharing ways to save money. You can find our other money-saving ideas by downloading the WCNC Charlotte app. And then if you want to find the money stuff, just scroll to the money section.
Tonight, retired Mecklenburg County employees are battling for their medical benefits. Retirees, they say their dependents' monthly premiums have always been covered by the county. But last month, we reported the county notified retirees that the coverage was actually a mistake and it will be taken away. As Julia Kaufman now reports, hundreds of retirees are now asking, where's the money as open enrollment looms?
Retirees of Mecklenburg County say a recent change to their medical benefits is wrong and unfair.
We are advocating for those Mecklenburg County employees who were loyal to the county, who were longtime employees to the county, who were promised that benefit, and now are about to have it retracted.
Many retirees, including Leon Miller, say county policy has given them the same coverage as active employees since the 80s, including dependents enrolled in their plans. But County HR Director Keisha Young says that's incorrect, and retirees will now need to pay for the total cost of their dependents.
The language in that recommendation was always that retirees should be offered the group medical insurance rates, but that they should be 100% responsible for the dependent.
At this week's county commissioner meeting, a tug of war between former county leaders and current ones over facts. Retirees say the county has always covered their dependents, but the county manager says the only reason retiree dependents were covered was because of a system error that started in 2017.
In 2017, when we transitioned, we introduced a new plan. When those rates were entered into the system, they were entered incorrectly, and retirees were getting a benefit for their dependents that they had not received before.
County staff's analysis into the medical coverage debacle is supposed to provide clarity, but for many retirees, it's only causing frustration.
Information is being presented that's counterfactual, and you have no recourse because your 3 minutes are up. That frustration comes with that.
County commissioners have asked for more information before deciding whether they want to propose a change to the insurance policy.
It's a timed tug of war, and the clock is running out.
There are currently about 300 county retirees that have dependents enrolled in their medical plans, which DiOrio says costs the county $2 million annually. If the policy stays, many retirees' monthly premiums will more than double starting in January. Julia Kaufman, WCNC Charlotte.
WCNC Charlotte wants to make sure government agencies are using taxpayer money appropriately. So if you have something we should investigate, email us. The details at money@wcnc.com.
Wake up to the news that matters most with meteorologist and traffic reporter Chris Mulcahy.
And we're all clear. We're keeping you smarter, safer, and on time.
Start your day the Mulcahy way. See the difference. 4:30 to 7 on WCNC Charlotte.
Time now to connect the dots when we make the news make sense. For the first time, somebody has been sentenced under a new law that increases the penalty for folks boating under the influence. It's a big change that's been years in the making. The death of a local teenager now leading to steeper penalties for those convicted in impaired boater crashes. Let's connect the dots. Years ago, deaths caused by somebody boating under the influence were only a misdemeanor, but not anymore. A law passed by the General Assembly back in 2016 now make it a felony thanks to a bill named in memory of Cheyenne Marshall, a teenager from Concord who was killed by a drunk boater on Lake Norman in 2015. That boater was only convicted of a misdemeanor. The Marshall family lobbied for stiffer penalties in similar cases, and a year later, Cheyenne's law was passed. This week, for the first time, somebody's been sentenced under that law. A North Carolina man pled guilty in a boat crash that killed 3 people. Advocates hope the law will act as another incentive for people to stay sober while boating and keep others on the water safe. And that is Connecting the Dots.
We were sent a series of questions by viewer Lori W. about the COVID-19 vaccine. So we're getting the facts and answering her questions about the new vaccine. Our source is Dr. Paul Coley, Yale Medicine, and the CDC. According to the CDC, the new COVID-19 vaccine targets a subvariant of the Omicron variant. The CDC says this should also work against other circulating variants. Lori W. wanted to know when should she and her husband get the vaccine because they want it to be most effective. Dr. Coley says if you're waiting to get your shots until November or December, you should rethink that decision.
Your peak antibodies are about 2 to 4 weeks after you get boosted, but they don't just go away after those 4 weeks. They actually have a plateau.
If people want to time their shot perfectly for holiday travel, Dr. Coley says now is the time to get your shot.
By Halloween, you'll have peak antibodies and you'll keep them through the Christmas time.
A study from Yale Medicine says the updated vaccines are not expected to prevent all cases of COVID. The aim is to reduce severe illness, hospitalization, and even death. According to the CDC, there was a surge in North Carolina COVID-19 hospitalizations at this time last year and in 2021, with most of the spikes happening around December. Lori W. also wanted to know how long the protection lasts. Dr. Coley says after the initial spike in antibodies 2 to 4 weeks after you get boosted, you'll start to plateau. After about 4 months, you'll start to see a decrease in those antibodies. And if you're wondering what time of day you should get your vaccine, Dr. Coley has an answer for that too.
So if you think about our immune system, it follows a circadian rhythm, and it's actually maximal when we're sleeping. So if you go in the afternoon to get your shot, that means that's really going to sort of kick in most when you're sleeping.
With your Verify Fact Check, I'm Megan Bragg.
If you have something you would like verified, just email us at verify@wcnc.com.
When it comes to WCNC's chief meteorologist Brad Panovich, our viewers tell the whole story.
Hey, if you're new to the area, this meteorologist is awesome.
I always stick with Brad Panovich when it comes to severe weather. He's rarely wrong.
You should follow Brad if you don't already. He's usually right on the money with his forecast.
I don't look at anything else besides what Brad says. We are fortunate to have him here.
Brad Panovich. Experience the difference with WCNC Charlotte weather.
Well, this Hispanic Heritage Month, we're putting a spotlight on the cultures that are right here at home. It's why we sat down with the brother and sister duo that's bringing a taste of inclusivity to Mint Hill.
Pansu means big beer belly guy in Dominican slang.
The idea came from their father. Rosa and Johan Martes are the proud owners of Pansu.
And these are tostones from Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. It's cream cheese and guava paste. The recipes originate from Haiti.
Mint Hill's newest brewery serves up a pint and a plate from multiple Hispanic heritages. The brother and sister duo are from the Dominican Republic. That's where their father raised them with what Rosa calls his entrepreneurial spirit. Now he lives on through the business logo. Outside the intentionality behind the signage and the menu, the storefront is filled with historic highlights, like the native art pieces lining its walls. Bringing this restaurant together requires far more than a 40-hour work week. It's why I asked Martes why they do the work.
The purpose of being entrepreneurs is to be able to leave a legacy, but also help people. If you don't have that, then don't get into it.
And I think we need to break with that conception that just because you want to do it, you can do it. No, here you have to do it right, with the proper steps.
We want to bring the whole community of Latinos
Reporting in Mint Hill,
together.
Kia Murray,
To showcase what we can do as a community.
WCNC Charlotte.
When did you know what you wanted to be?
Hey Mom, the weather's on!
WCNC Charlotte's chief meteorologist Brad Panovich always knew what he was meant to do.
All right, don't forget your umbrella.
In fact, he joined the American Meteorological Society when he was 13. Now Brad is all grown up. You can see him right here on WCNC Charlotte, making sure you're informed and safe.
Hey, where did all my hair go?
Experience the difference.
talking about a beautiful start to the day. We are going to look at more clouds to start compared to the last few mornings. So that's a nice little treat because that's actually going to keep us from dropping down to lower to the mid 40s that was forecasted. So some sneaky clouds. They'll get out of here, allowing for that blue sky to return right after that sun is rising up. High temperatures yesterday, 71, 69 in Lincoln, 69 in Statesville. The difference today by about 1 degree. So we're 72 in Charlotte, 69 in Hickory, 60 degrees in Boone. So all in all, it's going to be delightful. But presto changeo, here are the changes that you can expect Thursday into Friday. Now, cloud cover number 1, that happens today. Clouds will increase through the afternoon. So I think lunchtime is sunny. It will be mostly cloudy by dinner time. And then rain chances likely by tomorrow, coming in 2 waves. More on that coming up. And then temperatures 70s today, 60s tomorrow with the lack of sunshine. Here's what I'm talking about. So through today, I think it's going to be sunny for the first part, but then those clouds start to take over by the mid to late afternoon. There's still going to be some breaks. At times you can have some avenues of clearing, allowing for blue sky. At other times it'll be more overcast with mostly cloudy skies. But then through the overnight, there's the slightest chance for a little bit of rain, maybe a sprinkle or 2 either side of midnight for Charlotte. But then we see a break, even a chance for it to be sunny as that sun is rising up. But then here comes the rain. For the mountains, you're going to have a cloudy start, a wet start. That's round 1. And the rainfall chances this week only lie on Friday for Charlotte, and it's a spotty rain chance up in the mountains on Saturday. This is also a chance for a thunderstorm, something that we haven't really said in the better part of a month. Here's the first round of rain. It arrives during the middle of the morning, so about 8 to 11, it rolls through our area. But then round 2 arrives with some heavier rain and that thunderstorm potential. I think the window really opens up anywhere from the early to late afternoon, depending where you are. Charlotte, really the mid to late afternoon hours, it starts to branch through. But it starts to turn into a clusters of thunderstorms. When this happens, they start to strengthen. So that's why there's a better chance for more severe situations, better ingredients down to the southeast. But I think it's really east of I-77 that might have the stronger storms heading into the peak heating of the day. And then we'll start to clear things out through the evening, setting us up for a delightful weekend. If you have any weekend plans, well, no problemo. Everything's looking fantastic. If you're going to that soccer game, well, it's going to be a delightful evening, plenty of sunshine each day. Once that cold front moves through, it'll be a little bit cooler in the upper 60s Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. But then what do you know? Back to the lower to the mid 70s Wednesday, heading into next weekend.
Right now, as war rages on between Israel and Hamas, the crisis is getting dire for folks caught in the middle. So far, nearly 4,000 people have been killed in Gaza and Israel. This all stemming from a surprise attack from Hamas against Israel. And Israel continues to mobilize for a possible ground attack into Gaza in retaliation.
But for Palestinians, getting out of Gaza is nearly impossible. For those in the Gaza Strip, there's a lack of clean water, food, and medical supplies. Right now, thousands are fleeing to cross the border into Egypt. Humanitarian aid is also set to begin crossing into Gaza tomorrow.
Meantime, the conflict is sparking protests nationwide.
Yeah, today, hundreds of Palestinian supporters flooding the streets in Uptown with a goal of spreading awareness.
WCNC Charlotte's Austin Walker found out what message they hope others walk away with.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Not a penny, not a dime! No more funding Israel crime!
At the front of the crowd, a single megaphone is used to address hundreds.
From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! Palestine will soon be free! Palestine will soon be free!
Those in support of Palestine turning their pain into protest.
We deserve to be treated as humans.
Around 400 people filing into First Ward Park Sunday, a demonstration sparked by a war that has torn many families apart.
Yeah, those hundreds of people spilling out on a North Tryon right here in Uptown. You can see flags and signs line the street. You can see people are out here cheering and chanting, spreading awareness for those in Palestine as this war continues to rage on.
No more funding Israel crime! No more funding Israel crime!
Shoulder to shoulder, demonstrators march beneath the Charlotte skyscrapers. People of all ages and backgrounds joining, and with every physical step forward, they say it's a symbolic step in the right direction.
We first want to create awareness among people.
Lifting up the people of Palestine from thousands of miles away. In Charlotte, Austin Walker, WCNC Charlotte.
We've also seen demonstrations held by those backing Israel. Last week in Uptown, about 100 people gathered together for that. Well, thanks for coming back for the news at 5:30 now. I'm Colin Mayfield.
And I'm Vanessa Rufus. Tonight, a renewed call for help in solving a 10-year-old cold case. Police say someone murdered 29-year-old Daniel Irvin in front of a home on Pebble Street in Rock Hill. This was back in October of 2013. Well, today, police say they have established a new task force to try to find the person responsible. WCNC Charlotte's Lexi Wilson joins us with the latest on this investigation.
Daniel Irvin's case is one of several unsolved murders here in Rock Hill. Today, there's still suffering and pain among his family as they wait for answers.
I truly miss my son.
10 years after Daniel Irvin was killed, it's still soul-crushing to those who loved him.
It's kind of hard for me to talk about, and I'm 18 now. He died when I was 8 years old.
Irvin was 29 and a father of 5, getting ready to celebrate another birthday, until he was shot and killed at this home on Pebble Street in Rock Hill in October 2013. Investigators say at least 20 people were outside at the time of the shooting. Rock Hill police continue to investigate, but no arrests have been made.
Some may not realize that the information they have is relevant to the crime.
Now, there's a new push to close the case. The homicide investigation has been assigned to a task force with several different agencies. They're resubmitting critical evidence as there's been forensic advancement to help officers catch criminals and re-questioning family and friends. Police also asking for the public's help.
It is our experience that the offender will often follow the investigation and have an interest in both rumor and gossip in the community.
Irvin is one of 19 open cold cases in Rock Hill. Alice Walker says someone knows who killed her son and is begging for closure and peace.
I ask you to please come forward. It was my family, October 16th, 2013, and it could be yours at any given time. You never know. So I just pray that God touches hearts.
In Rock Hill, police say they canvassed this neighborhood again, searching for more answers. If you have any information on this case, you're asked to call that new hotline number that's there on your screen. Reporting in Rock Hill for WCNC Charlotte, I'm Lexi Wilson.
What truly matters in everything we do is you. That's why on Wake Up Charlotte, we bring you what you need. Keeping you safer and smarter with weather to plan your day. Stories affecting you where you live. Topics that stretch dollars and save the pocketbook. And when roads close and accidents slow you down, we'll get you there on time. See the difference with Wake Up Charlotte. Weekday mornings from 4:30 to 7 on WCNC Charlotte.
As leaves change colors and fall to the ground, they tend to clog our storm drains, just like this. With rain in the forecast later this week, it is important to keep on top of this so the streets can stay dry. Meteorologist KJ Jacobs shows us how you can help prevent street flooding this fall.
The city of Charlotte is known for its tree canopy. I'm here in South Charlotte, and like so many other neighborhoods, over the next month, leaves will fall and clog storm drains like this one unless you take action.
With some 200,000 trees and 100,000 storm drains along right-of-ways in Charlotte, fallen leaves can easily clog drains and cause flooding, since the process of rainwater flowing from the street to the creek is much slower. The month of November is the worst time for storm drains. Most leaves typically fall during the single-month period. With an average monthly wind speed of nearly 7 miles an hour and average monthly rainfall totals of more than 3 inches. A combination of wet and windy conditions will blow leaves into the street, and water will carry them into the storm drains. Mecklenburg County Stormwater Services says everyone can help prevent road flooding in their neighborhood. Check storm drains about 3 times this fall. Clean them safely from the grassy side of the street. Use a rake, gloves, and bag the leaves. And lastly, call 311 if you notice any clogged drains on main roads. In South Charlotte, I'm KJ Jacobs, WCNC Charlotte.
We make the news make sense. For years now, fierce storms and rising tides have been shifting the sand beneath homes on the Outer Banks. And now the U.S. government is stepping in with a possible solution.
Federal officials are buying up homes in Rodanthe as sea levels rise up and down the East Coast. Let's connect the dots. You've seen the video, high waves eroding the shore and leading homes to collapse into the ocean below. And now the U.S. government is stepping up to protect our shores. They paid $700,000 for the homes. They're looking to quickly tear them down and turn the land into safe public beaches. To pay for these homes, officials are tapping into a conservation fund that's supported by offshore oil and gas leasing, not taxpayers. It was established by Congress in 1964 to help maintain important cultural and natural areas. This could be the first case of the government buying up beachfront homes. But folks behind the purchases say it makes sense because as homes teeter on the ocean's edge, it provides both protection to the shore and access to the ocean. And that...
When I think about the community, I think about the time that I've been here. I've been in this community almost my entire adult life. So you get to know the people. When you know what they care about, then that's what you care about. This community looks at all of us who do weather here at WCNC Charlotte as part of their family. And when you're part of their family, you want to make sure you do it just for them.
Right now, the search is on for a missing 16-year-old from Union County. Lauren Heath's family says she left the family home last Friday and hasn't been seen since. Wake Up Charlotte's Destiny Richards joins us now. And Destiny, the family pleading for answers here.
They are, Sarah. The family and friends of Lauren Heath came together last night both to pray for Lauren's safety and her safe return.
A prayer vigil at Lauren's home in Monroe Wednesday night was filled with family and friends who are hanging on to hope.
I pray for your healing, the circumstances would change.
The 16-year-old has been missing since last Friday. Her mom, Latanya Heath, says it's not like her to just leave.
She was getting ready for homecoming game, homecoming dance on Saturday. She did leave. I want to say, I guess voluntarily she walked out, but she left with someone. We just don't know.
Ring camera video captures the last time Lauren was seen.
God, you let her see, you let her hear how much people love her.
After days of searching and waiting, those closest to Lauren say they won't give up, will continue to post signs and pray for Lauren to come home.
Just let our baby come home. No questions. We just want our baby home.
And Lauren's family is still asking the public for help in finding her. They say that anyone who may know anything, no matter how big or small the tip may be, should call Monroe Police at 704-282-4700. Live in Monroe this morning, I'm Destiny Richards, Wake Up Charlotte.
For those looking for a job right now, you might get desperate and take any offer you see online. But one post in particular is asking future employees to work an unpaid trial shift. The now viral post says this 5-hour shift is unpaid and gives them a chance to assess whether or not the candidate is fit for the job. But is this legal? Let's verify. Our sources are employment and labor lawyer Michelle Gessner, attorney Gary Monty, and the U.S. Department of Labor. Gessner says it's plain and simple.
There's no such thing as free labor.
Under the Fair Labor and Standards Act, which is a federal law, all employees must be paid at least minimum wage of $7.25 an hour.
And even when the Fair Labor Standards Act does not apply on rare occasions, the North Carolina Wage and Hour Act also would require employees to be paid at least the state minimum wage.
Gessner says it's important for job candidates to stick up for themselves in situations like these.
That's the only option you have, and you really want the job. You can raise the issue with the employer and say, look, I'm really interested in coming and working. However, the law requires that I be paid for that time. Are you willing to pay me?
If that doesn't work, Gessner says you can also contact the North Carolina Department of Labor to file a complaint.
And they have a duty to investigate or hire a lawyer, a wage and hour lawyer. Typically, again, $50 for a 5-hour shift, that adds up.
Monty and Gessner both say in rare occasions there could be an exception to the rule.
But if it's truly a trial run to see whether someone can actually perform the job, let's say it's specialized like the juggler or the cake decorator, so long as they're not really putting the person to work and it passes what I would call the eye test, does this look like a trial, or does this look like real work where they're just wanting it for free?
So we can verify that no, a trial shift that requires you to work an entire shift for free is not legal. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
As always, solid reporting there from Megan Bragg. If you want something verified, make sure you email us at verify@wcnc.com.
Hey YouTube, this is Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich here at WCNC Charlotte. We want you to head over to our Weather IQ YouTube page, where we're making you smarter and safer. We have a passion for weather science, and we want you to understand what's happening when the weather changes, because in the end, that's what keeps you safe. It's not about being scared, it's about being informed. Browse our collection of fun and informative clips and look for new segments every week. We're here to raise your weather IQ. Experience the difference on WCNC Charlotte.
We're talking about a beautiful start to the day. We are going to look at more clouds to start compared to the last few mornings. So that's a nice little treat because that's actually going to keep us from dropping down to lower to the mid 40s that was forecasted. So some sneaky clouds. They'll get out of here, allowing for that blue sky to return right after that sun is rising up. High temperatures yesterday, 71, 69 in Lincoln, 69 in Statesville. The difference today by about 1 degree. So we're 72 in Charlotte, 69 in Hickory, 60 degrees in Boone. So all in all, it's going to be delightful. But presto changeo, here are the changes that you can expect Thursday into Friday. Now, cloud cover number 1, that happens today. Clouds will increase through the afternoon, so I think lunchtime is sunny. It'll be mostly cloudy by dinner time, and then rain chances likely by tomorrow, coming in 2 waves. More on that coming up. And then temperatures 70s today, 60s tomorrow with the lack of sunshine. Here's what I'm talking about. So through today, I think it's going to be sunny for the first part, but then those clouds start to take over by the mid to late afternoon. There's still going to be some breaks. At times you can have some avenues of clearing, allowing for blue sky. At other times it'll be more overcast with mostly cloudy skies. But then through the overnight, there's the slightest chance for a little bit of rain, maybe a sprinkle or two either side of midnight for Charlotte. But then we see a break, even a chance for it to be sunny as that sun is rising up. But then here comes the rain. For the mountains, you're going to have a cloudy start, a wet start. That's round 1. And the rainfall chances this week only lie on Friday for Charlotte, and it's a spotty rain chance up in the mountains on Saturday. This is also a chance for a thunderstorm, something that we haven't really said in the better part of a month. Here's the first round of rain. It arrives during the middle of the morning, so about 8 to 11, it rolls through our area. But then round 2 arrives with some heavier rain and that thunderstorm potential. I think the window really opens up anywhere from the early to late afternoon, depending where you are. Charlotte, really the mid to late afternoon hours, it starts to branch through, but it starts to turn into a clusters of thunderstorms. When this happens, they start to strengthen. So that's why there's a better chance for more severe situations, better ingredients down to the southeast. But I think it's really east of I-77 that might have the stronger storms heading into the peak heating of the day, and then we'll start to clear things out through the evening, setting us up for a delightful weekend. If you have any weekend plans, well, no problemo. Everything's looking fantastic. If you're going to that soccer game, well, it's going to be a delightful evening, plenty of sunshine each day. Once that cold front moves through, it'll be a little bit cooler in the upper 60s Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. But then what do you know? Back to the lower to the mid 70s Wednesday, heading into next weekend.
The city moving. That's the goal of a new free outdoor fitness center on the way to York County. WCNC Charlotte's Caitlin Hagwood shows us the project and why city leaders are hoping it'll give more people access to healthy living.
Nikki Estes and Tracy Long have been taking this walk around the York County Rec Complex for years.
Be able to go that extra mile. I would like that.
Her wish answered in the form of a new free outdoor fitness facility equipped with all the bells and whistles and coming to the park soon.
Push-up bars, sit-up bars, step-up squares. So a lot of things that you can just go out and do on your own without the assistance of anybody.
Chris White leads the city's Parks and Rec department. He says a partnership with the National Fitness Campaign made the project possible through grant funding and sponsorships.
We're a growing community. And a lot of people may not, have access to workout gear or workout equipment or, gym memberships. And we just felt like this was a need for the community.
The NFC's website gives a look at other fitness courts the company's built around the country. White says York's will look a little something like this. We showed the picture of the development to the two friends.
Wow, okay.
Who are looking forward to it.
Gosh, when is it going to be done? How soon can we start? That's what I'd like to know. No, that's a really neat opportunity for everybody because not everybody can afford a gym membership.
White says they hope to break ground in the coming weeks and have it done early next year, bringing more options to the afternoon stroll.
Yeah, I would be for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
In York, Kaylin Hagwood, WCNC Charlotte.
Now, Gaza's southern border crossing into Egypt is still closed, the Rama crossing that is, with many Americans still stuck in harm's way there.
Charlotte native Maya Caldwell was able to make it out of Israel after nearly a week in the war-torn country. WCNC Charlotte's Tradisha Woodard shares her story.
A surprise attack in Israel sparked terror and left hundreds of bodies lying in the streets.
I know while I was there, some of my teammates, saw some of their friends deceased on the news.
Maya Caldwell, a WNBA player with the Indiana Fever, was one of many who were there when the war started.
My apartment was only like 30 minutes away from what was going on around the Gaza Strip. Sirens were going off and everyone was telling me to get to safety.
Caldwell says she went 45 minutes away to one of her teammates' homes to get to safety and spent another 5 days looking for a way back home.
This laid a little heavy on my mind when you think about, your child being overseas in a different country, and there's nothing you can do about that situation. Now, and that takes you to your knees a whole lot quicker.
They say one flight after another canceled, along with concerns about taking the skies.
I was a little nervous about flying. Once I heard that there were rockets taking off, I was just like, do I want to look out the window or not?
They say though tensions were high, faith was stronger, reassuring them everything would work out.
Her faith is strong, my faith is strong, so I prayed. And I knew that God would bring her back. I had no doubt.
The Caldwells say while they're thankful for Maya's safe return, their hearts are still with those who are fighting and hurting.
We just got to keep in mind other Americans and other people that are still there.
There's people there that I know and care about that are going through it, and they can't leave because that's their home.
Tradisha Woodard, WCNC Charlotte.
At WCNC Charlotte, we believe it is crucial to make a difference in our communities.
That's why we go beyond just reporting the news. We ask, where's the money to hold the powerful accountable and get money back into your pockets?
Our Verify team takes claims, finds sources, and gets you answers.
And we're keeping you weather aware, making you safer and smarter.
I'm Vanessa Rufus.
And I'm Colin Mayfield. Join us weeknights at 5, 6, and 11 and see the difference for yourself.
Only on WCNC Charlotte. Right now at 6, a Where's the Money investigation into what some call policing for profit. Law enforcement agencies in North Carolina have received nearly $300 million over the last 2 decades by partnering with the feds to seize people's money. But they regularly do so without ever charging those people with any crimes. Thanks so much for joining us for the news at 6. I'm Vanessa Rufus. Last night at 11, you'll remember our Nate Morbido told us about a sexual abuse case in Mint Hill where the feds and the town's police quietly kept $69,000 in seized cash. The victim, who was court ordered to get that money, hasn't seen a dime. Now, this practice of keeping seized money has been considered controversial for years, but new bipartisan legislation moving through Congress would end it. And the bill's sponsor says the Mint Hill case proves why the current law needs to change. He sat down with our Nate Morbido to talk about it tonight.
The legislation would end the equitable sharing program, which Mint Hill police used to quietly collect tens of thousands of dollars from a sex abuser 3 years before his criminal case even went to court. Money his victim cannot now receive as compensation for her pain and suffering.
It just feels like 3 steps back.
This 17-year-old's family says a Mint Hill police officer assured them.
We were always under the impression that it was always there.
The $69,000 in suspected drug money investigators found inside her abuser's home would still be available when they were ready to sue him.
If she was led to believe that, I get it. I get she's frustrated.
They only recently learned the money was long gone by the time they filed their civil lawsuit.
This is completely unjust.
Without them knowing, the police department partnered with a federal agency through the Equitable Sharing Program and received $45,000 of the cash to buy generators. The federal government took the rest of the money, and it's all legal for now.
Just because you can do it doesn't mean that you should do it.
When you hear a case like this, how does it make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel more resolved to get this legislation passed.
Michigan Congressman Tim Walberg is leading a bipartisan effort to reform civil asset forfeiture, so police are forced to always act in the public's best interest.
At least the thought can come in people's minds. They changed their approach and they rushed it more quickly in order to get that $69,000.
The lawmaker says his FAIR Act would still allow police to work with federal agencies for justified seizures, but would prevent local police departments from collecting any of the assets, eliminating the incentive. It would also shift the burden away from property owners.
They'd have the opportunity for representation in the court of law.
And create a higher standard of proof to protect the people whose money or property investigators seized.
They would not be forced to prove themselves innocent, but rather the state, the law enforcement, would have to prove them guilty.
Civil forfeiture is an absolute outrage. It's inherently abusive.
Institute for Justice senior attorney Dan Elbin says it's long past time Congress acts to protect people's constitutional rights, especially since so many states, including North Carolina, have created stringent asset forfeiture laws.
The equitable sharing program simply allows local and state law enforcement officials to evade state law.
He cites his own group's research showing when police seize money under the premise they're disrupting criminal activity, forfeiture proceeds don't help them solve more crimes or reduce drug use.
Is equitable sharing fair? I believe equitable sharing is fair.
Mint Hill Police Department attorney Scott McAlatchy supports the program as it stands and stands behind the decisions in this case.
I am at peace that we followed the law.
Annual reports show Mint Hill Police routinely partner with the feds, receiving nearly $900,000 in equitable sharing funds since 2018.
If Congress changes the law, then we will certainly respect the law, whatever that is.
It's just hard to move on.
The victim's mother believes the $69,000 police seized should go to her daughter.
No amount of money will ever make my daughter whole.
She even secured a state judge's order saying the teen has a right to stake her claim. But Mint Hill maintains that court order has no authority, all because the money went through the federal equitable sharing program 3 years prior. Congressman Walberg told me he expects the House to vote on his bill in the coming weeks, likely later this month. The House Judiciary Committee unanimously approved the legislation back in June. In Mint Hill, Nate Morabito, WCNC Charlotte.
And Nate and our Where's the Money team work hard to hold our government and law enforcement accountable. Your tax dollars pay for these agencies, so part of our job is making sure that they are doing theirs and doing right by the community. So with that said, we want to put this call to action out there. If you have something our team should investigate, please let us know. A lot of our story ideas come from you at home. You can send an email to money@wcnc.com.
All new at 5:30, CMS is working to convince taxpayers to fund the largest bond package in North Carolina school history. Thanks for joining us here at 5:30 now. I'm Colin Mayfield.
And I'm Vanessa Rufus. Voters will see this $2.5 billion bond on the November ballot, and it's supposed to fund 30 CMS projects.
Yes, that's right. As WCNC Charlotte's Shamaria Morrison points out and explains, CMS says the new schools aren't just good for children, they're good for the local economy.
In a few months, a new high school will open for students in the South Charlotte area. The money used to build it was from a bond that was approved by taxpayers a few years ago. And CMS had a goal to make sure those who were helping to build it were minority and women-owned businesses. These are the sounds of a new school being built and taxpayer dollars at work. The construction management company in charge is Messer Construction.
2014, I believe, was the first project, and we've been pretty much doing a job almost every year with them since then.
Messer and other construction companies have helped CMS meet its goals of getting more work to minority, women, and small-owned businesses.
We put a lot of focus into organizations like Metrolina Minority Contractors Association, the Hispanic Contractors Association.
One of the founding principles of the company is making sure its contractors and subcontractors they put on projects are reflective of the community.
This is not a handout. I mean, these are companies that are building their businesses, they're performing services, and you know, we're hiring them because they are good quality firms.
CMS says it spent more than $120 million with minority, women, and small business-owned firms in the last year. Nearly half of the district's construction spending in 2022 went to these firms.
When we built Ola Charlotte, HVAC system was put in by Superior Mechanical. It's African-American-owned large mechanical contractor. One of the students that a West Charlotte graduate actually helped install the HVAC system back in their alma mater. So they're ready to get back at that ribbon cutting. It warms my heart to see it come full circle.
If the upcoming bond passes, CMS anticipates spending at least $750 million with diverse firms.
Think about our 2017 bond. That was a little over $1 billion. To know that over $450 million of that went back to our diverse suppliers, that's economic impact. Those are jobs that was created right here in our community.
CMS officials say if the bond fails this year, they will try again. But if it fails, it will put a roadblock in the district's efforts to make sure that economic development happens for communities of color and women-owned businesses. Shamaria Morrison, WCNC Charlotte.
WCNC Charlotte.
Weather is a kind of science that you get to see and experience every day. And I think some people don't even realize how much it affects them. That weather has a huge impact on how it threatens your family, your livelihood, or your home. So I think it really is one of those defining things we do that really affects everybody in our community.
See the difference.
That process of giving you a warning ahead of time and keeping you and your family safe is really important to me because I live here too. It's my family, it's my friends, it's my neighbors.
Well, this Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we are working to cast a light on a dark and sometimes truthfully overlooked truth within our community. So far this year, more than 50 people have lost their lives to domestic violence in North Carolina, one too many. That surpasses the total number of cases for all of last year.
Behind each number is a loved one, a story, a voice taken too soon. And the staggering statistic is prompting state leaders to act, bringing more help for local survivors who could be trying to get help. WCNC Charlotte's Michelle Bowden joins us with how they are seeking solutions tonight.
This is all about getting rid of the stigma and letting domestic violence survivors know there is a way out. And now the highest level of state government is involved in the fight.
The search for Alicia Watts comes to a tragic ending.
When news broke that Alicia Watts was found murdered, her boyfriend arrested, it was particularly difficult for Melody Gross to process.
When I hear stories of someone losing their life to domestic violence related homicide, I always take a pause and think about how I'm here, right? I'm here to tell my story. I'm also here to tell the stories of others, because what happens is we're silenced a lot of times. And so when I hear these stories, it takes a moment, but then it's really to get back to the work. So how can we disrupt domestic violence in our communities?
Gross says she thought about leaving her own abusive boyfriend more than 100 times.
That the first time I decided to leave, it was hard and scary. I was on crutches, I was bruised up, and it was visible. So the judge said, oh, okay, great, protective order. But I still wasn't ready to go. And so I did go back.
She actually tried 3 times before she was successful.
And then when I finally decided to leave, I felt much more empowered because even in that little bit of time, I asked for help. Right? And so I was able to get some services that I needed.
Many of those services are things many domestic violence survivors don't know about, and Gross, along with Legal Aid of North Carolina and now the state, are all trying to change that.
We're there for them. We empower them. We understand that the statistic is that it takes about 7 times before a victim finally leaves, and we're there not to be judgmental. We're there to help them to get to their 8th time.
Kelly Carroll is an attorney with Legal Aid. She and her team members walk alongside survivors through what can be a confusing court process.
We're seeing a spike in homicides. There are an increase in calls to the police department for domestic violence related incidents. It's depressing, actually, and we can't help everybody.
Now the state wants to make sure more survivors know about the services. The Governor's Crime Commission just awarded a $500,000 grant to support survivors and spread awareness.
Yeah, I think this money is really important because so many times survivors don't know what's available to them. And so the more awareness that we can bring, the better. When you are deciding to leave, it's really hard. First of all, it's scary. You don't know if you're going to actually make it out, right? But to have the resources that you need to take the steps, those first few days are vital.
If you need help or if you know anyone who needs help, we've got all the information you need. It's on our website, WCNC.com. Reporting in Charlotte, Michelle Bowden, WCNC Charlotte.
And we did want to share this resource. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, there is a national domestic violence hotline to call. The number is there on your screen, 800-799-SAFE. So that's 7233. You can also text that hotline by sending the word START to 88788. And that is available 24/7.
A major development this morning in the years-long battle to bring a new commuter rail to the Queen City. A newly obtained letter shows Norfolk Southern could allow CATS to use its existing rail line. The proposed red line would connect uptown to Charlotte's northern suburbs. Wake Up Charlotte's Richard Devane joins us now. Richard, leaders say this could all provide big relief for I-77 commuters.
Absolutely correct, Sarah. Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. Folks coming from the north down to Charlotte and vice versa could save a lot of time and money just parking their car in a parking lot and jumping on the red line. We've been talking about it since the 90s. There's now some evidence, a letter that says that it could happen. Hopefully. New talks for a commuter line connecting Charlotte to several northern cities in our area. This letter obtained by WCNC says Norfolk Southern is now actively discussing plans with Charlotte, which could eventually lead to a passenger train line that would have stops in Huntersville, Mooresville, Davidson, and Cornelius. The red line would run on Norfolk Southern's existing lines, which in the past has been a major stumbling block getting the so-called red line on track.
They were disappointed that the sales tax in 1998 was passed and the red line was not built because we couldn't come to terms with Norfolk Southern.
But now Norfolk Southern is considering some sort of lease or purchase deal, which would allow CATS to use the tracks for a commuter line. We spoke to Councilmember Ed Driggs, who is chair of the Transportation Committee. He says the talks are encouraging, but there are still lots of steps to take before the red line can happen.
The goal right now is to have on the ballot next November a request for public approval of a new sales tax that would be used to pay for a lot of these projects,
including possibly the red line. Of course, this all depends on if the city of Charlotte and as well as Norfolk Southern can agree on the proper terms to get those tracks for CATS to be able to use for that red line. Of course, we'll keep you posted as this project continues to move up the road, or up the tracks, if you will. We're right here in Uptown. Richard Devane for Wake Up Charlotte.
Connect the dots and let us clear up the confusion. We're here to make sure the news makes sense. And with Connect the Dots, you'll understand how the headlines impact your family. See the difference on WCNC Charlotte.
Tonight, construction companies are having a tough time filling jobs. There's a high demand for new homes and buildings, but often not enough workers to get them built. WCNC Charlotte's Lexi Wilson joining us now and showing us how Goodwill is seeking solutions to this shortage. Lexi?
Well, Goodwill has programs that help create a talent pipeline for industries like construction. It's also helping some families gain upward mobility while tackling the shortage, too.
After more than 15 years helping people with disabilities, Shakira Townsend knew the drill, but she soon decided it was time to hammer out a new future in construction.
It was a journey.
Townsend, a little shy during our interview, but not shy at all when using her hands.
Picking up tools and playing in the dirt and working on big equipment. Women can do it too.
Women make up about 10% of the construction industry in the U.S., and they experience a smaller pay gap, according to the National Association of Women in Construction. And for laborers seeking jobs, right now there's a constant supply of work.
We definitely do need more workers, more that are willing to learn.
Goodwill is seeking solutions to the labor shortage by offering free courses in construction training.
I think people don't realize the demand. These are also high-paying jobs, and we want to help people really upskill their talents and have that good, prosperous life here in Charlotte.
At 43 years old, Townsend says you can always start something new.
It's never too late. Go ahead and take that step forward. Take a chance on yourself. Never know where that road might take you.
And you might be surprised to learn that Townsend's entire graduating class was women. Now these days she's working to get more education through Goodwill to hopefully get into management with Charlotte Water. Reporting live in Dilworth for WCNC Charlotte, I'm Lexi Wilson. Thanks, Lexi.
Tonight, an effort by South Carolina teachers to improve test scores and working conditions inside the class. The Palmetto State Teachers Association releasing its plan to address school safety, compensation, and a critical need for educators.
And WCNC Charlotte's Kaylin Hagwood has a look at that plan and their message to state lawmakers.
Building on progress, that's the goal of South Carolina's largest association of professional educators.
The work of teachers and educators matters, and when students have access to them, our students are capable of achieving a great deal.
The group releasing its plan to address school safety, compensation, and a critical need for teachers in a pitch to lawmakers this month. Among their requests are more time, support, respect, and money for teachers, with the organization hoping to see salaries increase to $50K by 2026.
Pay is a significant way to recruit and retain talent in any sector.
They're also seeking smaller class sizes and a safer work environment. The plan comes as South Carolina report cards are released showing some improvements after pandemic losses, with more than 22% of schools receiving an overall excellent rating. Still, there's work to be done. In math alone, more than half of students didn't perform at grade level.
Ensuring that a high school diploma means college and career readiness is the goal that we have to set here in South Carolina.
The Palmetto State Teachers Association is hoping to see the state prioritize a holistic approach to student success, adding more counselors, psychologists, and social workers, and working to ensure kids aren't pushed along without learning the material.
If we want to help students achieve on tests, we need to address the out-of-school factors that could inhibit a student's performance on a test. And we also need to rethink our assessment system.
You can read the full legislative agenda on WCNC.com. Kaylin Hagwood, WCNC Charlotte.
We're talking about a beautiful start to the day. We are going to look at more clouds to start compared to the last few mornings. So that's a nice little treat because that's actually going to keep us from dropping down to lower to the mid 40s that was forecasted. So some sneaky clouds. They'll get out of here, allowing for that blue sky to return right after that sun is rising up. High temperatures yesterday, 71, 69 in Lincoln, 69 in Statesville. The difference today by about 1 degree. So we're 72 in Charlotte, 69 in Hickory, 60 degrees in Boone. So all in all, it's going to be delightful. But presto changeo, here are the changes that you can expect Thursday into Friday. Now, cloud cover number 1, that happens today. Clouds will increase through the afternoon, so I think lunchtime is sunny. It'll be mostly cloudy by dinner time, and then rain chances likely by tomorrow, coming in 2 waves. More on that coming up. And then temperatures 70s today, 60s tomorrow with the lack of sunshine. Here's what I'm talking about. So through today, I think it's going to be sunny for the first part, but then those clouds start to take over by the mid to late afternoon. There's still going to be some breaks. At times you can have some avenues of clearing, allowing for blue sky. At other times it'll be more overcast with mostly cloudy skies. But then through the overnight, there's the slightest chance for a little bit of rain, maybe a sprinkle or two either side of midnight for Charlotte. But then we see a break, even a chance for it to be sunny as that sun is rising up. But then here comes the rain. For the mountains, you're going to have a cloudy start, a wet start. That's round 1. And the rainfall chances this week only lie on Friday for Charlotte, and it's a spotty rain chance up in the mountains on Saturday. This is also a chance for a thunderstorm, something that we haven't really said in the better part of a month. Here's the first round of rain. It arrives during the middle of the morning, so about 8 to 11, it rolls through our area. But then round 2 arrives with some heavier rain and that thunderstorm potential. I think the window really opens up anywhere from the early to late afternoon, depending where you are. Charlotte, really the mid to late afternoon hours, it starts to branch through, but it starts to turn into a clusters of thunderstorms. When this happens, they start to strengthen. So that's why there's a better chance for more severe situations those better ingredients down to the southeast, but I think it's really east of I-77 that might have the stronger storms heading into the peak heating of the day, and then we'll start to clear things out through the evening, setting us up for a delightful weekend. If you have any weekend plans, well, no problemo. Everything's looking fantastic. If you're going to that soccer game, well, it's going to be a delightful evening, plenty of sunshine each day. Once that cold front moves through, it'll be a little bit cooler in the upper 60s Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. But then what do you know? Back to the lower to the mid 70s Wednesday, heading into next weekend.
Tonight on WCNC Charlotte at 11, the struggle of small businesses. This is an issue we've been telling you about for quite some time. Even after the pandemic ended, businesses can't stay afloat. We thank you for joining us for the news at 11. I'm Vanessa Rufus.
And I'm Colin Mayfield. Some have been forced to close down due to things like funding and staffing issues. One local organization is working to change all of that. WCNC Charlotte Tradisha Woodard shares how they're seeking solutions to help small businesses continue to flourish.
Well, SCORE Charlotte's mentors say they know what it's like to be a small business owner, and they're using that knowledge to help others start and grow their own. This is Yazan Homede, the owner of Sip City Market and Bottle Shop. Homede says since opening their doors back in May, finding their target audience has been one of their biggest challenges.
That was the biggest fear, is marketing and advertising for myself. Is like, what is that going to look like? And literally, the more I looked into it, the more I got lost.
He says increasing foot traffic is key to ensuring your business runs smoothly. And for some, that's been a challenge, which makes new business owners like himself a little concerned.
It kind of gives you like a wake-up call. Like, I needed to slow down to revisit, is my strategy working? Is my marketing working?
That's where SCORE Charlotte, a free resource for small businesses, steps in to help with hopes of providing reassurance and relief.
What we help them to do is create a plan. Most of them don't have a plan. So if we can help them to see on paper, hey, this is how you can manage your business better, then that's when they're able to make different decisions.
From new businesses to old businesses, SCORE Charlotte says they're seeing an uptick in the number of applications and business owners in need of help.
To prevent closing down those doors, they're having to put their all into their business. So, they're coming in and they're working 12-hour days.
They say the goal is to prevent small businesses from hitting rock bottom, equipping them with the tools and knowledge they need to succeed.
SCORE does actually help tremendously.
For business owners like Homede, it means the world.
I honestly don't even know how to appreciate them for that.
It gives him peace knowing his business is running smoothly, allowing him to meet a new customer and make a new friend.
Most of my customers that come in here, I know them by name. I know their kids, their families by now.
If you're looking for a mentor for your business or would like to volunteer to be a mentor, you can log on to our website at WCNC.com for a link to get you started. Reporting for WCNC Charlotte, I'm Tradisha Woodard.
Well, it's almost 2 months into the school year, and CMS has still more than 500 teaching positions unfilled. This is a number that's actually higher than what we saw at the beginning of the school year.
Yeah, vacancies this high throughout the school year are starting to become a normal thing for the district and for others, really. WCNC Charlotte's Shamaria Morrison looked at the data and where the district is seeing the most strain.
At any given time over the past 2 years, CMS has averaged from 300 to up to 500 teacher vacancies at any given time. And we know the reasons for these numbers are complex, and the data shows it may increase.
CMS's hardest to fill positions include teachers for exceptional children, secondary math, science, English language arts, and multilingual learner teachers. Emily Eiton, a guest teacher at Croft Community School, is looking to work in the language learner department.
I had a lot of students last year at Ballantyne that came into my class that didn't speak English, and so that really inspired me to want to do that and help them and work with them.
The need for teachers like her is large, especially with families being displaced during ongoing conflicts and wars.
So I actually had a lot of students last year come in around January, actually, all at once, come from Ukraine and from Russia.
A question many are asking is, why are there not more people like her going to school to become a teacher?
So we are not seeing the teachers that are traditionally trained come out of schools and ready to teach. So that pipeline is becoming smaller and smaller.
A state report shows enrollment in colleges of education, school district residency programs, and for-profit teacher prep programs fell by 42% last year. The annual State of the Teaching Profession report shows a steep increase in teacher vacancies at CMS. In the first 2 years before the pandemic, the average vacancy rate around this time of year was between 1 and 1.5%. The 2 years following the start of the pandemic, the vacancy rate went up to 4%. In order to fill critical positions, CMS is offering upwards of $5,000 as a sign-on bonus for some positions. Shamari Morrison, WCNC Charlotte.
North Carolina transit leaders are working to implement plans to improve pedestrian safety across the state, including approving a plan in the city of Belmont last night. The efforts come amid a string of deadly crashes involving pedestrians, with 3 people killed in the span of 48 hours. WCNC Charlotte's Tradisha Woodard shares efforts to improve walking and safe driving.
Well, the North Carolina Department of Transportation says there's 1 million people in the state who don't own a vehicle or drive. They say that's why it's important to make updates to infrastructure, ensuring all communities are accessible and safe. Roads that are more chaotic can be less friendly to pedestrians. Now the North Carolina Department of Transportation is working to identify and improve communities that lack access for biking or walking.
I think healthy habits are something that is becoming more of a priority for people these days across all demographics. We not only want to make sure that the pedestrian plans and the bicycle plans are good, but also make sure that they're being created in a way that they instill safe habits.
The city of Belmont is also hoping to address safety issues, approving a plan Monday night.
In Belmont particularly, they're looking at additions and improvements for connectivity and safety concerns, not just with things like sidewalks and crosswalks, but recreational opportunities like greenways as well.
NCDOT will pay for 80% of the cost to draft this new plan, with the city of Belmont covering the other 20%. The state says they're also looking forward to instilling safety measures for drivers, including lowering speed limits in areas that see a higher volume of pedestrians. Their goal is to not only address the needs that exist now, but also develop plans that will shape the community in the future. Now, the project manager in Belmont, along with city council members, are hoping to engage with the public with a public hearing set for November 6th. Reporting for WCNC Charlotte, I'm Tradisha Woodard.
The radar is our most valuable tool for weather tracking that most of us even have on our cell phones. But what do those colors on the radar really look like in person? Meteorologist Chris Mulcahy shows us in this week's Weather IQ.
When you're looking at the radar, you may be thinking, what does all this really mean? Well, I'm literally going to show you. Let's get out the umbrella in another Weather IQ. Let's start with green. Green has many different shades. Light greens can range from no rain, meaning it's raining above our heads but not hitting the ground, or it can vary from sprinkles to mist, drizzle, or a very light trace of rain. Now, when the radar shows a dark green, this is a solid light rain. Up to 1/10 of an inch of rain is possible over an hour. The windshield wipers will look like this, wiping every 3 seconds or so, and small puddles can form like this. But yellow is always consistent. Yellow looks like this. Moderate rain, where it can rain up to 3/10 of an inch per hour. Yellow means you need the umbrella. The windshield wipers are on a constant wipe, larger puddles start to form, and the rain over several hours can cause some significant ponding. But when the radar is showing orange, the rain officially is heavy. This is what orange looks like. Rainfall rates range up to over an inch per hour. The windshield wipers are cruising. Drains are active and significant ponding happens quickly. This rain is enough to flood sidewalks, streets, and yards, especially over a long period. Orange also reduces visibilities down to a mile or less. Check this out. Uptown Charlotte is barely visible at orange, but as the rain intensity downgrades to yellow then green, you can see more and more of the skyline. All right, time to get out the rain boots or else this could be you. This is what red looks like. torrential downpours. Windshield wipers can't keep up, making it hard to see and drive in, with rainfall rates over 2 inches per hour. The red floods streets in seconds to minutes. Here's our parking lot after it rained the red for just 20 minutes. The drains are overwhelmed, causing the water to quickly rise. And heavy rain builds quickly. Here's a time lapse showing green going to red. This happened in less than 2 minutes. So stay dry, my friends. I'm meteorologist Chris Mulcahy with WCNC Charlotte.
All right.
We don't like red.
No, or anything above that. Magenta, anything is worse than that. What's interesting, when I first started doing weather here many, many years ago, we just got into using radar like that, and we called it color radar, because before that it was black and white.
Yeah. Oh, that's
wow.
For a long time we were using color radar. We don't say color anymore because it's always color, like Chris was saying right there.
Well, Charlotte area school districts are increasing spending on mental health resources.
Most of the investment has been made possible with federal COVID dollars, but the funding isn't permanent, and some advocates say more state and local help is needed.
WCNC Charlotte Shamaria Morrison spoke to a CMS social worker seeking solutions for lasting mental health help for students.
We all could use a mental health day every now and then, and this is what's happening here for students at Huff